Greetings YouTube, it's Elijah here. Let me welcome you to another video from the applifestyle.org, the one-stop shop for all things rideshare and delivery life. This is going to be part 2 of the Ubereats Advanced course, which is hot streets and different trip types. And I'm pretty excited for this video because I get to play around with a concept that some of y'all may be familiar with. You may be thinking, what the hell is a hot street? Like the trip types, you probably have an idea where this is going, but hot streets, before we get into that, a lot of y'all obviously know that I'm a GTA fan. That stands for Grand Theft Auto, the video game. But you know what? In this video, it works better in the context of the video if we can kick it Saints Row. How about we go Saints Row 2 before the franchise got all silly like in Saints Row 3 and 4. Okay? So, work with me. The map in Saints Row 2 is called Stillwater. And as you can see on the screen, it has different colors. Now, it's not divided the way that the quadrant would look, but just work with me. Remember how in the previous Ubereats course, I told you to split your area into a quadrant. So literally like a plus sign, and then find the hot spots within each quadrant. Well, we're gonna build off that concept. And this is what's gonna give birth to the concept of hot streets. So, as you can see from the Saints Row map, see a red area, green area, orange area, yellow area. Imagine that actually being a quadrant, because in the context of the video, it's still gonna allow me to explain what I wanna explain. So what is a hot street? A hot street is basically a street of activity that is in between two hotspots. Now, usually the hotspots are within the same quadrant. So work with me. Say quadrant red, looking at the Stillwater map, okay? Quadrant red has 3 hotspots. So a hotspot here and a hotspot here. And imagine we see the word Elijah, there's a hotspot, okay? So a hot street is gonna connect hotspot A to hotspot B, or hotspot B to hotspot C, or hotspot C to hotspot A, etc. Now, when I say activity, I'm not meaning traffic. Those are spots you want to avoid. But when I say activity, I mean every time you drive down the street, the position, because the Ubereats algorithm gives you requests from restaurants. All quadrants have hot streets. It's up to you to find out where they are. Now, the key in finding a hot street is just by driving around, you're going to eventually start to notice patterns. Remember in fundamentals, we talked about creativity and critical thinking being keys to implementing this information? Well, here's a great example. You keep driving and we're in quadrant red. And I've seen a lot of streets named by zodiac signs, so I'm just going to use some zodiac signs for streets. May sound corny, but whatever. So every time you're driving down the street of, let's say, Gemini, you notice you always get requests. Now, Gemini is connecting hotspot A and hotspot B. Guess what? The street Gemini is a hot street. So, anytime you finish a quest and you end up in the red quadrant, you get on the street Gemini and you're going to get into some activity. So guess what? You can turn the app on before you even get back to your hotspot, because just based on the position of the street and it driving, that it's putting you in the right place to get pings based on the Ubereats algorithm. You can also use this for when you're traveling in between hotspots. Say for whatever reason, hotspot A isn't popular right now, you're gonna go move to hotspot B or hotspot C. Well, guess what? You take that hot street, it's increasing your chances of getting pings from both hotspots. See, I'm gonna be honest, the hotspots are great, but 80% of the time I don't even get back to my hotspot because I take my hot streets. Now, sometimes I do get back to my hotspots and I'll sit there and just kick it for a minute, but if I can get a request on the way to the hotspot, that's obviously better, right? Now, if you take some other way, then there's a chance you won't get that request, because you got to know how to pimp that algorithm. We talked about that in the previous Ubereats course. So hot streets are very key, and you want to find out really where they are in all your quadrants, okay? Especially the quadrant you spend the most time in. Even just sitting here thinking, if you're an experienced driver, you're already kind of thinking, hold on, I know when I go down XY Street, I get request. You're already thinking about hot streets in your mind. The only thing about hot streets, you could, I don't recommend, it's a little too much. You can't really put them inside your Waze app. I mean, you can, but that would just be overkill in my opinion. So it's something you just gotta kind of mentally know. But if that's an issue, you could always just write it down. So you write down the quadrant, and then if you want to name a quadrant, you can just be like the southeast part of whatever city. It could be something simple as that. But you name the quadrant. After naming the quadrant, you write down the hot streets. You can do it that way, okay? So don't feel like you have to just straight up memorize it. Ain't nothing wrong with using some pencil or paper, or you can keep it in your phone. How you do that is completely up to you. But that leads into the second topic, which is trip types. Okay, now when we're talking about trip types, it's not overcomplicated. It's just the quality of trip that you're gonna get based on how far it's gonna take you. Now, I know a lot of people will say this type of trip is good, this type of trip is bad. That's up to you, because ultimately, your objective should be to stay between 11 and 18 miles an hour or more. So some people will do a series of short trips. Some people want a long trip, and then let's just get into it. So, what is a short trip? Well, actually there's 4 types. And the first type I don't want unless there's a quest going on. There's a baby trip. A baby trip is something under a mile. I don't like baby trips. I don't think anyone does. The only exception is if it's a quest. But I will say that sometimes if you're on the cusp of hitting that $18 an hour, or you're at $18 an hour, you got like 10 minutes left in the hour, sometimes a baby trip can get you over it, and you can finish in time. You go there, the restaurant already has the food ready, then boom, hey, it's a baby trip, just going around the corner. Well, you got 10 minutes to complete that. It can push you over that edge to get you at that $18 or plus an hour. So they have a value, but most of the time I don't care for them. So there's a baby trip. There's short trips. Now, short trip is between a mile and 3 miles. Medium trip is between 3 miles and 6 miles. And a long trip is 6 miles plus, okay? Now, with the exception of baby trips maybe, there's no one trip is like, oh, you have to get this. You have to get this in order to make money. Because you can make money off a combination of them or just certain ones. Like if you get a bunch, let's say you get short trips, you gotta keep in mind that you need maybe 3 short trips to stay within that range, okay? Let's say you get a long trip. Most of the time a long trip will take care of you mostly, but you still need a baby or a short trip to stay within that range. Or even better, if you could slide a medium in that hour, that would be better. And let's say you get 2 medium trips. A lot of times 2 medium trips will get you within that range. But once again, if you can slide a baby trip in there, then they'll get you to that maximum range. Now, I can hear y'all saying, now with these trips, how do you know how far it's going and all that? We covered that in the normal Ubereats course. If you want more clarity on kind of getting the heads up as far as how far away the trip is, you need to go look at part 3 and part 4 of the normal Ubereats course. But once you break the trip types in that type of way, then you need to decide, okay, these trip types, what type of restaurants am I getting certain trips from? Because we already covered the customer app in the previous course. But with that information, now you can actually do something with it. Because based on that customer app, it's going to tell you, hey, you could get a long trip from here, or you could get a short trip from here, or you could get a medium trip. See, if a restaurant gives you the ability to have a long trip, then you can get all 3. But some they can't go past the short, or they can't go past the medium. Okay, so it's up to you to find that information out about that restaurant. But just because it can go long doesn't mean it does. I mean, local people may just like that restaurant. So keep in mind if people are actually ordering from that restaurant. And once you kind of get a feel for that, then you can kind of attach a trip category to a restaurant just like you attach the other things. Like, hey, this restaurant usually gives me long trips, so when I see it coming up, do I want a long trip? Hey, this usually gives me short trips. Hey, this usually gives me medium trips. Now, it's all about probability. You could be wrong, but if you pay attention to just the numbers, a lot of times you will be right, and this is the key to staying where you want to stay and staying within the range you want to stay, which is that $11 to $18 an hour. Okay, this is where that critical thinking part comes in. Now, once again, I have all this in my head, but you could always write this stuff down. I know some of y'all may be thinking, Elijah, that is too much work, but I told you, if you want to really hit this advanced category, you got to start getting analytical and creative. So if you want to maximize your money, stay on the high side of that range, closer to $15 to $18 an hour, or in some cases you can go above this. Because we're not even factoring if there's a boost or quest involved, or in some cases a ridiculous minimum guarantee they have floating around nowadays. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about, click on the video above. It explains what that is. Because you're going to run across it at some point. The minimum time guarantees that Uber throws out when orders aren't getting delivered. But that's not what this video is about. The point is, you got to be willing to enter that mode where, hey, I'm going to analyze this data so I can get the most return for my money, okay? You got to get in that mode. But with that being said, that covers hot streaks and trip types. In the next part of the Ubereats Advanced course, we'll be covering what I call the activity scenarios. And that's something, I'm looking very much forward to. In fact, some of y'all have probably already done this, but if you have any questions, leave them below. Don't forget to go to the applifestyle.org. If you found value in this video, hit that subscribe button, the bell icon, like and share. All of the above is greatly appreciated and it helps support the channel. Until the next time, peace out.